DigiU is an ecosystem. We develop and fund AI projects with a technology company and a venture fund. For me and the team, this is a new, unusual experience. What we're doing now is for the first time, wholeheartedly and sincerely, and we know we're ahead of the curve. Over 130 countries are involved, and more than 20,000 have registered.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
This is a rapidly emerging situation.
The first US case has been detected.
And at this point, I want to make an official statement. We have already written and communicated that the entire DigiU project team has now completely switched to remote work. And as today clearly shows, in my opinion, we are working even more efficiently than before. And I am very glad and pleased about that development. Today marks the launch of the first DigiU product, which brings profit to our investors. DigiU Wealth is a product that already allows you to earn money. And in December 2020, it will allow you to receive the first dividends in the very first year of our company's operation. If, in just 1 year, we have already managed to launch our startup's first commercial product and pay out the first dividends to our investors, just imagine how much more we will achieve with this momentum in the next year and in the years to come.
We realized that we needed to create our own projects. We assembled a team. We came to the conclusion that we needed to go cross-chain. It became clear that 2021 would be the year of cross-chain.
I am the founder of the blockchain laboratory, DigiU Lab. And within this division, we are currently developing a cross-chain exchange project, AvaFi.
I'll tell you about our venture fund. We've launched this direction successfully. It's becoming one of the most important parts of the DigiU ecosystem. We refined this idea. The concept and vision of ecosystem appeared early. Our mission is to make people the main beneficiaries of modern technologies. Right now, we're at a point where we no longer need to prove to the world that we're fully capable of accomplishing things. The company already has products we're actively creating, and we already have a world-class team. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/ in GT. People are interested in us. They're reaching out to us themselves.
Today's economic report from Russia. The economy has been hit with 16,500 sanctions targeting energy, finance, defense, logistics, aviation.
Welcome to 2023. This year will be held under the banner of our Ecosystems Venture Fund. One of the trends is phygital, the transition, or rather, the digitalization of real-world objects. The technology makes it easy and simple, literally in just 4 minutes, to digitize a person's visual image and use it for any purpose you choose.
Today we are at the largest exhibition, the Mumbai Money Expo 2023. Here, we are representing our company and our venture fund. Both Alexander and I were invited speakers at this expo, and we received quite a lot of positive feedback.
IVA, together with Curve, are creating the cross-curve solution. In the city of Novosibirsk, we held the first international investment forum of the DigiU ecosystem. Partners and investors from different countries around the world flew in. And in fact, we summed up the results of 4 years of the company's work. We are in Hanoi at the largest exhibition in Asia, ETH Vietnam 2024.
IVA and CrossCurve are the main sponsors of the ETH Vietnam event.
In the first 6 months of 2024, the number of commercial products in the ecosystem increased by 220% and continues to grow. The 2-day Money Expo India 2024 conference has ended. We had a booth from Webwise Capital. We were invited to speak as presenters. I gave a talk on the topic of tokenized assets. The emergence of structures on the market in the form of banks and marketplaces that base their operations on tokenized assets is already a done deal. They are appearing, and there will be more and more of them. For a year and a half now, in our ecosystem, we have been financing and creating our own projects in these areas. We are developing them simultaneously. Right now, stepping out here feels a bit nerve-wracking, even a little daunting, because on the eve of the company's 5-year anniversary, this is in many ways a report on what we've accomplished. Today and tomorrow, we'll be talking about what we've managed to achieve and what our current understanding is. Because obviously, over these 5 years, the ecosystem has changed. Our understanding of the world of finance and how everything really works has changed. In some ways, 5 years ago, we were not exactly kids, but I think where we are now is very different from the point where it all began. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/ and GT. The plans we've outlined for 2025 include a buyback procedure, reorganization completion, company registrations, and obtaining banking and crypto licenses.
The metrics for the AVA project are growing rapidly month by month, literally week by week. This includes TVL indicators, the number of users, and transaction volume.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump each launched their own cryptocurrency coin.
Trump has made at least $350 million from this meme coin so far.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. That's tariffs, including currency manipulation and trade barriers.
The Solana Validators product is currently our most popular and widely used area. Some of the validators will actually belong to the DigiU ecosystem. Just think about the additional profit we can generate when 10 of our validators, or even as many as 100 of them, go live on the mainnet. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/ and GT. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars per year.
At cross curve, we're going to do $1 million at a $15 million valuation.
We combined the resumption of sales with a buyback program in order to provide everyone who is dissatisfied with an authentic and genuine opportunity to exit if they wish. And LT, break time equals 0.5s/ and GT. For us, this serves as a clear and unmistakable signal that the vast majority of the company's co-owners truly approve of everything we are doing, have no intention whatsoever of selling their securities portfolios, and remain fully committed to moving forward together with us. What could possibly be a more precise and obvious confirmation of your ongoing support?
Hello, everyone.
Today, the DigiU team and Webwise Ventures are at the Blockchain Forum. Being at this exhibition, I notice an increasing need to create our own data center, because we understand that artificial intelligence requires a certain level of computing power. Today, we are at the Trends Forum. This is a forum dedicated to artificial intelligence. In our strategy, including the strategy of the fund and the venture builder, it seems like we are creating separate building blocks, but we do it in such a way that in 1, 2, or 3 years, these projects can synergize.
What we leave behind may be indistinguishable from who we are in life. If, as subjects of economic and social activity, We do not die, but continue to exist thanks to our digital identity. A new memory of humanity is formed. People, along with their knowledge, remain with us. So, if digital immortality becomes available, the question arises, who will you belong to? Either you belong to large corporations for whom you are a resource, or you own your own identity and your own immortality.
Alpha, turn off the music.
The world is changing, and right now, every person, no matter where they are, is faced with two possibilities: to make a quantum leap or to lose everything they've worked so long and hard to build. These possibilities are absolutely equal for anyone, anywhere in the world, whether you're a highly qualified specialist, a large or small business, a corporation, a country, or a government alliance. If you choose to make a quantum leap, then you're in the right place right now. My name is Alexey Ognev, and I am the CEO of the DigiU ecosystem. I'm going to share with you the secret of the quantum leap. For the past 5.5 years, the DigiU ecosystem has been deeply researching the artificial intelligence market, blockchain, and other modern technologies. We create products and explore this field, basing our work on the concept of a digital copy of a person's identity, on the concept of digital immortality. These terms might be unclear. They might seem intimidating or inspire hope. But one way or another, these terms can be used, and used quite effectively, to see the full picture of what's happening, to put the puzzle together. and to take the broadest possible view of where the world is heading, how human evolution will unfold, and what kind of species we will become after artificial intelligence not only enters our lives as entertainment or as a way to enhance our skills, but becomes so deeply integrated that we can't imagine life without it. The digital copy of a person, the digital immortality, is the very key to understanding how, in today's world, you can make that quantum leap. It doesn't matter who you are, a beginner employee or a professional entrepreneur, a student or a qualified specialist, a business or team leader, the head of a large corporation, maybe a government official or the leader of a country or region. Understanding where the world is heading in terms of human evolution is the key to making a quantum leap. This topic isn't simple, but it's definitely something anyone can grasp. And for more than 5 years, the DigiU ecosystem has dedicated all its activities to researching this phenomenon and spreading this idea. The results we've achieved in these processes allow us to look confidently into the future, to be proud of the work we've done, and to understand what awaits us as a commercial entity, the markets we operate in, the people we interact with, and those around us in the next 10 to 15 years. The DigiU ecosystem is engaged in developing artificial intelligence, blockchain, and other modern technologies. We have a rather substantial project portfolio, which we built thanks to our venture fund. At our core, we have an established infrastructure that allows us to launch and finance various high-tech companies and startups, bring them to fruition, take them to commercial application, and deliver them for safe use to people anywhere in the world. This is the experience we've managed to accumulate thanks to our strong desire to achieve our goals, our ability to overcome challenges, our skill in building teams, ensuring the legal and financial security of our products, aiming for commercial success with every product, and shaping the very vision that lets us look far ahead. After all, if you can anticipate trends, if you can see them in advance, then at the right moment you step onto the stage and become the one from whom the trend begins. So, the digital copy of a person, the digital immortality, is exactly the trend that is now starting to gain momentum. Thanks to the fact that the technology is ready, the market is ready, and computing power is reaching the level required. The speed of computation is becoming sufficient, and the accessibility of technology and gadgets is also becoming enough for this term to no longer sound like something out of science fiction, something from a distant future. Instead, it sounds like something you could be using in just 2 or 3 years, and in one way or another, you'll be able to leave a completely different mark than you would without these technologies. To understand this phenomenon a bit more precisely and deeply, of course, you need to pay attention to the details and some of the main phenomena of this process. According to futurists, researchers, and most importantly, entrepreneurs who are creating projects in the field of artificial intelligence, and this is no longer a secret, in the next few years, we will witness such a phenomenon. Digital agents, which today might just call you on the phone and with whom you can have a more or less conscious conversation, sometimes without even realizing it's not a living being. These digital agents will soon begin to receive their first legal rights. So imagine a piece of software code that has, or is starting to have, rights similar to those of an ordinary person. It can be held responsible for its own results or be standardized, have the right to carry out certain activities. In the past, this was hard to imagine. Now, the legal side of this issue is already being worked out. Projects are being created with the goal of granting technologies, granting software code certain rights. But that's not our focus right now. This is just some context I'm setting for you. Obviously, after we grant such a list of rights to these digital agents, the next step in this chain is to grant rights to agents that are created by us or for us. Because even now, many people, especially specialists in various fields, already have their own AI agents. Some people create agents that generate content. Others have agents that perform certain computational operations, create analytics, and so on. In other words, we are gradually replacing ourselves in certain areas and business functions with AI agents. Clearly, the next step in this trend is that these areas will merge into increasingly complex models that won't just be responsible for creating content or making your work easier or more efficient. They'll understand what you want, what you might want, or even what you're thinking about. In other words, fully fledged virtual entities. Obviously, the next step will be people wanting to personalize them somehow, make them their own, make them more precise, give them certain functions, or better yet, have these digital entities do everything for us. Do my work for us, or multiply me. That's a pretty basic explanation of how all this will scale up. And the simplicity of this explanation actually gives a pretty solid confidence that this is exactly how it will happen. Because you can see the scaling up of basic functions everywhere, in past experiences, and so on. Phones used to only make calls, then they started receiving text messages, then taking photos, then recording videos. Eventually, the phone became a full-fledged gadget where you could do all your work without needing to connect to a computer or any kind of computing power. This trend in technology has always been present. So, the scaling up of technologies, the creation of more advanced, verified AI agent in the field of artificial intelligence to perform various tasks, which will later be granted certain rights. That's a clear path that we'll all see very soon. Our company spends a lot of time studying the legal side of this issue. Maybe we'll propose some concepts for legalizing these agents. We'll try to be among the first companies to legitimize our digital avatars, personalities, and so on. That's all ahead of us. Right now, it's important to understand another point. What makes up a digital personality? What constitutes this very digital immortality, which allows us to see this path, this picture, and everything else in a much broader way? As soon as these entities are granted rights, as soon as they scale up to the state of more or less understandable subjects of economic, social, cultural, financial, and legal activity and are tied to specific people, that's when the first digital personalities will appear. At first, they'll probably serve as your assistant, your helper, as I mentioned, someone who does what you don't want to do and, most likely, even brings you some financial income, and so on. But let's imagine the following situation. A person who owns such an agent passes away, but the agent remains. It knows everything about them. It knows their way of thinking, can reason on their behalf, is verified for certain actions. Maybe it even has some kind of visual appearance, if the owner wanted that. So what would this entity be then? Can it be considered the digital personality of the former owner, or should it be considered the owner itself? Maybe these questions are too complex, but let's try to answer them. If what we leave behind is indistinguishable from us, then what kind of world will we start living in? If we, as subjects of economic, financial, and legal activity, don't die but continue to function with a certain set of rights, then what kind of world will our children, for example, live in? When they can, for instance, talk to their father, their grandfather, get advice from them, or even receive an inheritance from them that they wanted to leave specifically to their grandchild, even if that grandchild didn't exist yet and they never met them. So imagine if each of us right now could talk to an ancestor we never met during their lifetime. That's one aspect. That's the personal level. Would I want to talk to my great-grandfather, not when I was 2 years old, but now? Yes, of course. And with my great-great-grandfather? Probably yes. Now let's add to this the digital personalities of great people. If, for example, Einstein had left behind not just books, his thoughts, memoirs, and so on, but an entity endowed with certain rights and the ability to think like its original, what would the world be like now if we could talk to him? And maybe not just a select few, but anyone could have that conversation. How many more books would Tolkien have written, for example, if his personality had been digitized? And I'm not talking about just copying a writer's style, but actually creating content and everything else using verified copies of a personality. So, all of this is an obvious path toward a certain form of immortality, which we seem to be able to discuss quite effectively right now. And these are the basic ideas I want to share with you so you can better imagine what awaits us. And so you can try to see for yourself whether you'd want to have such technologies. Would you want to provide some extra security for your children or grandchildren for the time when you might no longer be around? Personally, I would very much like to have a digital personality that could help my children find their place in life, so they could give from me, created by me, the advice they'll need in difficult moments or when facing a choice. I could feel at ease in my lifetime, knowing they'll be taken care of, and not by just anyone, but specifically by me. Maybe even in the form of a humanoid robot and digital code. So there's a huge field for activity here. And as fantastic as it all sounds, each of you can now join in on this idea and turn it over in your mind. Look around, and if you find that something inside you responds, if a thought comes up that you hadn't considered before but now seems plausible, well, now let's see what the professional players in this market think about it. Because, moreover, this is already being created. There are dozens of startups working on creating small pieces of digital immortality. Most likely, you haven't even heard of them. Their names won't mean anything to you. But as soon as you start looking into this process, you might find yourself asking, why don't I know about these technologies that could extend my life, even if not directly for me, but for my descendants and so on? There are many answers to these questions, many points of view. But the key thing I want to say right now is that this market exists. And in the last 2 years, more than $15 billion has been invested in it. And investments keep growing. There are big players, and there are small players who will eventually be absorbed by the big ones. One way or another, all of this is coming together into a single trend, a unified concept of a digital copy of a personality. And maybe the things I'm talking about now as a CEO, someone who has spent a huge amount of time researching this process, are just a small part of the products that could emerge. But from an economic perspective, and in terms of its impact on human life and its integration with artificial intelligence, this is a huge market with enormous potential, and it's very interesting to major corporations. The only question for me is, are these big corporations capable of creating something that won't lead to even greater financial inequality, information inequality, or make every person dependent on these corporations, technologies, and so on? I wouldn't want my digital personality to be switched off for non-payment, or for not renewing a subscription, or for my children to be dependent on having to pay a subscription. Otherwise, they won't be able to talk to their grandpa or dad anymore. There are a lot of philosophical and ethical questions, and not all of them have answers. There's a certain context you can now look at through my eyes. And if we shift to the business side, this is obviously a huge market and a huge trend. So right now, the DigiU ecosystem is at a transitional stage, which, in our opinion, will last about 2 more years and will allow us to become one of the market players influencing what I believe is a fundamental process for the future development of humanity. And the format we offer our audience is, in many ways, fundamentally different from the format that corporations are offering you or will soon offer. Our approach clearly comes from our mission. Every person, anywhere in the world, should be the main beneficiary of all modern technologies. The person comes first. Their data is safe. Their personality is safe. Their memory is safe. Here's another idea you can explore. A digital copy of a personality is a new memory for humanity, something we leave behind in a form we've never existed in before. It's a very interesting theory. I suggest you dive into it yourself and look at it from the perspective of that quantum leap you can make by studying this phenomenon. Now let's take a moment to carefully examine and consider this fascinating phenomenon from the perspective of how all of this will actually unfold in reality, how a copy of a personality, an individual's unique identity, will be formed, and most importantly, how to ensure that this process is safe and secure, how to avoid becoming dependent on the fact that everything you have created, that is, myself as a subject, will be stored somewhere, perhaps in a remote location on the servers of a particular company, and for some reason could potentially be sold back to you as a subscription service. Now, let's look at this phenomenon from another angle, from a different point of view. How will you, as an individual, encounter the creation of your own digital copy, a digital representation of a person? And here, there are 2 radical, fundamentally different options or scenarios. Number 1, you will create it without realizing you're doing so unconsciously, without being fully aware of the implications. And at some point in the future, those very corporations you don't know about, but which already have billions of dollars invested in them, will say to you, look what we've come up with. We now have your complete digital twin, a full digital replica of yourself. Would you like to use it? Here's a trial period, and here's your chance to experience yourself in a completely new format. They'll present it to you as a surprise and essentially get you hooked on this dependency. And you'll choose a particular ecosystem for yourself, whether it's the well-known Apple, Android, or something else entirely. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. You'll be amazed, perhaps even astonished by this development. And the second path is to create it consciously with full awareness, understanding where everything is heading, being the subject who knows exactly why they're creating it, understands their rights and responsibilities, knows from the very start how to use all of this, understands its value, and isn't surprised when it suddenly appears. They pursue it intentionally with purpose. And this is the path our ecosystem of conscious digital identity creation offers to you. That's precisely why a new level of products is being added to the ecosystem, physical products, because without them, it's hard to imagine creating a secure digital identity, safe storage, reliable data exchange, and essentially building such a decentralized network of supercomputers, which is necessary for the future of digital identity. Now let's take a moment to imagine in detail what a person would look like who consciously and intentionally creates their own digital copy. A person who not only understands why they're doing it, but also has a clear sense of purpose, who is fully aware of their rights and responsibilities in this process, and who comprehends on a deep level how this digital copy will function after they're gone, after their physical presence is no longer in this world. Obviously, such a thoughtful and proactive person has two distinct levels of interaction with their digital identity. The first level is the one that allows them to personally and actively input information about themselves into their digital identity profile. This can be accomplished through various means, such as filling out detailed questionnaires or through ongoing communication with some kind of intelligent agent or digital assistant, so that this agent gets to know you better, understands your preferences, your habits, your values, and your unique personality traits. It can also be achieved by creating certain role formats or templates. For example, you might choose to first create an assistant who helps you manage a team, solve specific issues for you, or even help you earn money by building analytical systems that process data and provide insights. In other words, you select a specific role, a particular function, and then fill it with your own characteristics, your own experiences, and your own knowledge through communication and by solving your personal, everyday tasks and challenges. This is what we call the soft level, the level of your conscious, intentional communication with what will later become you and will gradually grow and develop into this digital identity. Great. This is your practical path, so to speak, that you can take step by step to build your digital self. But a personality, as such, is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon. Some of its aspects we are not even aware of, either because we are not capable of perceiving them or for other reasons that may be psychological, biological, or even philosophical. This includes the level of biometrics, the cognitive levels of our attention, our health, our emotional states, and everything else that makes us who we are. After all, a digital identity is not just about what happens when you're gone, but also about how to extend your existence, how to ensure your health is in order, how to achieve the quality of life you want, the level of energy you desire, and the overall well-being you seek. Accordingly, at this point, the next level appears, the so-called soft level, which is essentially the level of physical gadgets and devices. This is exactly what you saw in the opening video. You saw a tracker watch that checks biometrics, monitors your vital signs, and interprets them for the benefit of the owner, providing useful feedback and recommendations. For example, if your caffeine level is too high, you shouldn't drink a 7th cup of coffee to perk up. Instead, you might want to do some exercise, take a short walk, or pay attention to your health if your indicators have worsened. You also saw the glasses I put on to analyze the parameters of the company's plan to identify patterns that, for example, aren't immediately obvious, to gain additional reality and to record my ideas and thoughts as they occur. An incredibly cool and innovative gadget that will soon obviously replace the phone as our primary personal device. This is all part of the ongoing evolution of technology and human interaction. At the same time, this gadget is more personalized, more efficient, and frankly, more interesting and engaging than previous devices. And most importantly, in addition to these health trackers, biometrics, stress monitors, and all the rest, the noise level devices that you already use in one way or another, which many people have, you saw such a key thing as a kind of supercomputer. This is what stores and processes all your information for you, and does so with a high degree of security, reliability, speed, and everything else. It's something that sits on the desk in every home, and it allows you to safely store those parameters that, after a certain amount of time, after a certain number of years, will become your digital immortality. And until then, it will serve as your helper, your assistant. And here, at this moment, comes a kind of answer. How do you make this quantum leap? How do you transition into that world in which humanity has evolved? First, you need to let these ideas in, allow yourself to live with them for some time, and think about whether what you heard today really resonates with you. Look at the gadgets, the companies, and how soon you'll see news that some agent has received its first rights, I mean legally significant rights. And thus, you'll find yet another confirmation of the correctness of the chosen trend and of what I'm talking about. Even now, you can embrace the idea of thinking with the help of artificial intelligence and developing yourself through these technologies by using products, by consciously using the services our company creates through the DigiU Alpha service, which allows you to start taking your first steps in this direction, to create your first profile, to form your agent, your first steps in the field of a digital copy of your personality. Right now, we have a fairly serious plan for the development of this product. And most importantly, at some point, you'll be able to acquire your first supercomputer capable of storing your memories, analyzing them, giving you the right advice, and being connected to an obviously decentralized network of supercomputers capable of ensuring the safe storage of your information and, as a result, the safe storage of your digital immortality. Because the idea of decentralization at this point is the only way to resist the dependence that, at some point, and this is a 100% guarantee, we are doomed to by those very corporations that now sell us gadgets for huge amounts of money, even though, in theory, they should be paying us to use their gadgets. In summary, the journey toward digital immortality is not just about technology, but about embracing a new way of thinking, a new paradigm for humanity. It is about understanding the importance of security, privacy, and control over your own data, and making conscious choices about the tools and services you use. As you move forward, remember that every step you take in this direction brings you closer to a future where your digital self is protected, empowered, and truly your own. The evolution of technology is accelerating, and by staying informed and proactive, you can ensure that you are not just a passive consumer, but an active participant in shaping the digital world of tomorrow. This is your opportunity to be at the forefront of a revolution that will define the next era of human existence. Take the time to reflect, to learn, and to engage with these ideas, and you will be well prepared for the exciting possibilities that lie ahead. In general, the DigiU ecosystem, having gone through the 6-year journey of growth, learning, and adaptation, is now opening up its next, rather short but highly effective development plan, which is designed to build upon the solid foundation already established. This new phase is not just a continuation, but a thoughtful evolution, and perhaps it can be summed up in a single, powerful thesis. The more digital identities we create, the harder it will be to deprive us of our freedom. Digital identities, in this context, are not just technical profiles or accounts, but representations of our autonomy, our ability to interact with the digital world on our own terms, and our capacity to participate in new forms of economic and social life. And right now, at this very moment, is the time when each of you, as individuals and as members of a broader community, can make your choice as consciously and deliberately as possible. This is a unique opportunity to reflect on the information you've just heard about the rapidly changing world, about the quantum leap that is taking place in technology and society, about the emergence of digital identity, and even the concept of digital immortality. These are topics we have not discussed in such explicit and direct terms before, but the circumstances we face today and the way the world is unfolding before our eyes are forcing not only the people around us, but also our company, with its far-reaching plans and forward-looking trends, to accelerate our efforts and prepare for this quantum leap. This quantum leap refers to a fundamental transformation in the way we live, work, and interact with technology, a shift that is as significant as any major historical turning point. It is a leap that will redefine what it means to be human in the digital age, and it is happening right now. This is precisely the period when a window of opportunity is opening for those who want to be economically successful to participate in the creation of new markets and to shape the future. By and large, perhaps the main driving force for me personally has always been the desire to enter the history of humanity by creating that very standard of digital identity, or at least attempting to create it, or by creating a number of these digital objects that play various roles and give humanity an alternative to the process where you are dependent on a corporation. Instead, it's a process where people come to you to ensure your well-being, and you make the choice whether to use something or not, and so on. The DigiU ecosystem is designed to create such a society of equal opportunities for its audience, where everyone has the chance to participate, contribute, and benefit. And obviously, you have several basic and clear scenarios for interacting with the DigiU ecosystem. For example, you can be an observer and study the things we talk about, following our updates, attending our events, and learning from the experiences of others. You can be a student using our educational products, taking the Alpha Mind course, using the DigiU education platform, and immersing yourself in the world of artificial intelligence and AI-driven thinking. This means acquiring the professions of the future, not just the professions of today, but those of tomorrow, such as AI ethicist, data strategist, digital identity architect, or quantum computing specialist. These are roles that will become increasingly important as technology continues to evolve. You can also be a client of our products, using them in your life, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, but in any case, maximizing your quality of life. This refers to DigiU Alpha, to financial products, to decentralized products like validators, and many others that we will be launching in the near future. Each of these products is designed to empower you, to give you more control over your digital life, and to help you navigate the complexities of the modern world. By participating in the DigiU ecosystem, you are not just a passive consumer, but an active creator of your own future, contributing to a community that values innovation, equality, and freedom. And naturally, the third scenario, which is an important option for many, is to become a co-owner of all this, to share in the ownership of the company and its future. And it is precisely this unique opportunity that is being offered at this stage of our company's development, which will last for 24 months and is officially called the bridge round. This is a classic investment term well known in finance that we use because we are, among other things, a transparent and open business, utilizing modern venture financing for the growth of our products and attracting both traditional investors and those interested in crowdfunding. Essentially, the bridge round is being launched to accelerate the company's development and, over the next 24 months, to achieve the key metrics that will allow the company to make a significant leap towards scaling its operations. Naturally, in classic venture capital, this is known as the Series A round, or a public offering, or even tokenization. Each of these possible paths gives the company's co-owners the opportunity to exit, the very venture term that all venture investors are proud of. I exited at a valuation of 500 million or $1 billion and made 300 to 400% profit. The DigiU ecosystem, of course, provides such an opportunity for co-owners, allowing them to benefit from the company's growth. Over the next 24 months, we will carefully prepare the company for a Series A round, tokenization, or a public securities offering, depending on market conditions and strategic goals. All of this will allow early co-owners to earn additional profits, to receive those coveted hundreds of % returns, in addition to regular dividends, the possibility of buyback, and other bonuses and incentives that our company's products provide. Over the past 6 years, we have paid out more than probably 2.5 million in bonuses and dividends to our co-owners and investors.
We offer special terms and exclusive conditions for using the company's products and have conducted buybacks with returns of up to 30% for those co-owners who wish to take advantage of this opportunity. And now, at this very moment, the bridge round is officially starting, which is a unique opportunity that allows you to join the company on special advantageous terms with a clear, well-defined plan for the next 24 months ahead. And if we talk in detail about the stages of development, we see that there are 12 distinct phases. The initial phase, which is numbered 0, has already been successfully completed by us. We have prepared and implemented a brand new personal account system, which is filled with advanced artificial intelligence technologies. The process of registering the company's holding structure has already begun, and the Alpha U concept has been developed, which involves multiple roles, multi-platform capabilities, and has already been tested on more than 5,000 clients, providing us with valuable feedback and insights. From an infrastructure perspective, we have launched more than 100 validators in the testnet, signed agreements with various technology parks, and started the process of IT company accreditation, which is a significant step forward. Accordingly, for Phase 1, we have set clear and understandable goals that will allow us to move forward effectively and efficiently. What should be said about these phases? Probably the key point is that these phases will allow the company to reach a Series A round, IDO, IPO. One of these options we will choose depending on the circumstances and the best interests of the company. Obviously, for a co-owner, this is a path to exit, if you so desire, at a higher valuation with certain X percentages and so on, which can be very beneficial. Clearly, to prepare the company for such serious and large-scale scaling stages, it is absolutely necessary to achieve positive unit economics, a certain number of users in the projects, a certain amount of revenue and commercial efficiency, a certain infrastructural base, technological base, innovation base, financial and legal security, and of course to possess a unique product with a unique amount of intellectual property and users who confidently use the company's products on a regular basis. This is the path the company will take over the next 24 months, step by step, phase by phase. This path is divided into two fundamental essential stages. At the start, we pay a lot of attention to creating software for our developments, ensuring that our digital solutions are robust and effective. Isaiah, you will see many digital solutions, each designed to address specific needs and challenges. And at some point, probably in the 6 to 12-month horizon, a physical stage will be added, the stage of those very gadgets that are currently in the research and development phase, which is an exciting prospect. We will add those very supercomputers here, moreover, personal supercomputers, small boxes that will be in every home, but at the same time possess a certain amount of computing power, allowing you to process information, accelerate your individual assistance, store personal information, and safely interpret and transform it into your digital personality copy, which at a certain stage of your life will provide you with help, support, be verified for certain actions, and represent your interests wherever you have verified it. And when you are gone, it becomes support for your family, your company, your team, and those who depend on you. And it may even lead your corporation or your family line into a bright, promising future. But I think each of you can imagine for yourself what your digital copy will do and how it will impact your life and the lives of those around you. So it is precisely the creation of innovative, cutting-edge gadgets and devices that is such an incredibly important and pivotal stage in our ongoing development as a company and as a community, and a very interesting one in terms of the company's long-term economic viability and sustainability. A previously missing, yet absolutely essential element that we are now consciously, deliberately, and very appropriately adding to the ecosystem at exactly the right, most opportune moment in our journey. And today, at this very moment, we are extremely proud, honored, and excited to announce the official launch of the very first stage of this ambitious initiative. Everyone who is watching this video right now, whether you are a long-time supporter or a newcomer, can choose the very role in which you wish to interact with the DigiU ecosystem. You can be an observer, a product user, a student of our comprehensive training courses, or even a co-owner and stakeholder of everything the DigiU ecosystem creates and brings to life. Obviously, this is an important, meaningful choice, and at some point it becomes a fundamental, life-changing choice for everyone involved. But once again, I urge you to look and listen carefully to those fundamental things I spoke about at the very beginning of this presentation. Ask yourself, what kind of world do I want to live in? What kind of world do I want my children, my family, and future generations to live in? And how can this world be created, shaped, and brought into existence? What can I personally do to make the world like that, to contribute to its creation and improvement? And how can modern advanced technologies help me, support me, and empower me in all of this? And probably everyone will have their own unique individual answer to this profound question. But you have already heard my answer. The creation of a digital copy of a personality, the development and advancement of research in the fields of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and other modern cutting-edge technologies, and the realization and fulfillment of the mission that we loudly and proudly declared to the world 6 years ago. In the next 24 months, we intend to accelerate our development as much as possible and invite everyone to join the ecosystem on special, exclusive terms, to become users of the products, to become users of the very first gadgets, and perhaps to be the first in the world to install at home and start creating your own digital copies of human personality on your personal home supercomputers. I sincerely congratulate all co-owners of the DigiU ecosystem on the start of the bridge round, and I urge each and every one of you to make your own personal quantum leap forward. Wishing all the best to each and every one of you.